It's interesting how there's another update with the Brett Favre situation, seeing as how I just did one, but it was more about Ted DiBiase Jr. and less about Brett Favre. But this one is definitely surrounding him, as one of my subscribers actually sent me this article. It's been so much stuff going on that this stuff could fly past me. And then on top of that, I wasn't expecting an update for this story to come so soon. Unfortunately, it's not for what we want to hear, which is that he's been criminally charged. And I feel like, why are they dragging it along? With all the stuff they have right now, and with what I'm about to tell you, they might as well just go ahead and do it. But this article is coming from Washington Post. It was posted April 25th, 2023. And the title reads, Brett Favre to remain defendant in Mississippi welfare case judge rules. This kind of piggybacks off of an update that I did on Brett Favre a couple months ago, maybe, where his attorneys were trying to go to the judge to get him removed from the case altogether, basically to let him walk away scot-free. And the judge then denied it and kept him on. Now they've done it again, and they've been denied again. And I think what also contributed to that is the fact that Ted DiBiase Jr. has now officially been charged. So I think the more and more people that get charged around him, the more they're going to keep him in this. So it's like, why are the lawyers even wasting their time? What they're trying to do is get Brett Favre removed from the case, so there's no chance for him to get charged. They figure the longer he stays attached to this case as a defendant, the more likely he will to be charged. And it makes you also wonder, what are they waiting on? What is the piece of evidence that they're waiting on in order to officially charge him with something? Because everyone else is around him is getting charged except him. So it's like, are they waiting for the other shoe to drop for this to happen, or what? A Mississippi judge denied a request by attorneys for Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre to dismiss him as a defendant in a lawsuit seeking to recover millions of dollars diverted from a welfare relief fund. Hinds County Circuit Court Judge Faye Peterson also denied a request for a hearing on the motion to sever Favre from a group of more than 36 people and businesses being sued by the Mississippi Department of Human Services, deeming it unpersuasive and inapplicable. Obviously, Brett Favre is disappointed in the court's ruling, his spokesman Alex Pfeiffer said in a statement to the Associated Press. His legal team is exploring their options. How many more options are they allowed to explore? They keep doing the same thing and they keep rendering the same results. Favre is among 47 defendants targeted in an investigation of what prosecutors say was allegedly the fraudulent transfer of nearly $80 million from the Federal Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program into projects such as a volleyball facility at Favre's alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi, where his daughter played the sport. Supported by wealthy or influential people. The volleyball court was completed with $5 million in federal welfare funds, and the state, Favre has argued, approved the money transfer. In addition, $1.7 million was directed toward development of a concussion treatment drug Favre promoted. Both claims stem from allegations surrounding his involvement with and dealings to secure funding for the construction of a brick-and-mortar volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi, as well as allegations surrounding his efforts to secure funds for a profit drug company, Prevacus, the judge wrote via Mississippi Today. Specifically, plaintiffs alleged that Favre personally guaranteed funds for the construction of a volleyball facility at USM. That he was unsuccessful at fundraising efforts, that he conducted months of negotiations and backdoor meetings with other named defendants and the University of Southern Mississippi Athletic Foundation to acquire funding, that the funding came from TAMP funds and that said were used of non-TAMP purposes such as construction of a volleyball facility. One thing that I like about these articles and how they're phrasing them is that even though I'm staying on top of the story and it can get repetitive of regurgitating what he's done, I'm glad they're doing it because it's letting the viewer or the listener know, whoever is watching this video, that we need to keep y'all up the breast about what he is currently out there for, while we keep talking about him. Because they could easily not mention why they are going after him, and rightfully so. But I'm glad that they're continuing to reiterate that because they don't want people to forget why I want to say why he's on trial, but he's not on trial, but you know what I mean when I say that. Why he should be on trial, I should say. Why he should be criminally charged. They're reminding you, just in case you forgot, this is why we're going after him. Because they could easily not bring it up. They could just say, oh, here's the little update, and there you go. So I'm glad that they're continuing to keep reminding people of why Brett Favre's name constantly and consistently will come up. And see, Brett Favre and his attorneys are probably hating this because they just want this to go away. And see, he probably thought he could use his privilege, but that's not working because they are staying on top of this thing. And with all the news that's coming out, and there's so much news that happens every single week, day in and day out, weekends included, this could easily get buried. It could easily get buried. A lot of people probably have completely stopped talking about this. Talking about this, not me. That's why I created a whole playlist around it. That way, when people can look back on it, whenever this does come to an end, they can say and look to me, and this is not on an ego trip, that Tory and Rain Reloaded at least did stay on top of this story when no one else did. Plaintiff further alleged that Favre, as the largest individual outside investor of Prevacus, engaged in similar meetings to assist in similar procurement of TAMP funds that were then used to purchase stock in Prevacus, inconsistent with lawsuit TAMP purposes. In their motion, Favre's lawyer offered 300 pages of exhibits, which under court procedure, the judge said she was unable to consider. Favre's attorney countered that if MDHS falsely alleges Favre was a part of a conspiracy, it was the most public and open conspiracy in Mississippi history, adding it was directed and carried out by MDHS itself to transfer funds from one public state entity to another, Southern Mississippi, and it was vetted, approved by numerous lawyers and state officials. Although several people have entered guilty pleas in a parallel criminal case related to their involvement in the misspending, no criminal charges have been brought against Favre. Last week, former WWE wrestler Ted DiBiase was added to the criminal case, which of course y'all already recently saw a video about that. In October, Favre denied wrongdoing, which I talked about in another video back in October. In the scandal, speaking out for the first time and saying in a statement to Fox News that I have done nothing wrong and it is past time to set the record straight. He added that he has been unjustly smeared in the media. That one, I think, out of all the updates that I did surrounding this situation, pissed me off the most because he knows what he did was wrong. We know what he did was wrong. The state of Mississippi knows that what he did was wrong. And those who helped him knows they was just as wrong as he was. And for him to sit up there on his high horse and try to pretend like what he did was not wrong really pissed me off. Because that was an insult to our intelligence. You stole money. We saw the text messages that you were sending to Nancy New. You knew what you did was wrong. Everyone does, but you want to claim it was a smear campaign by the media. No, you didn't want the media to find out. That was in one of them text messages. I hope the media doesn't find out about this. And when they did, oh, now it's a smear campaign. No one held a gun to his head and told him to take that money from the people who needed it the most to go spend it on a volleyball facility for his daughter. No one told him to say he was going to do these speaking engagements and get paid money for it and not do not one speech and still collect the money. No one told him to take all this money and then only pay some of it back but not pay off the rest of the interest. Brett Favre did all of that and then some on his own free will. He took that money because he was greedy, even though he knows that he did not need it. That man has a net worth of well over $100-something million. $5 million out of his own pocket to pay for a volleyball facility for his daughter would have not broke him. But he wants to take from people who need it, who are barely scraping to get by, because he didn't want to touch into his own funds. As far as I'm concerned, Brett Favre is the all-American boy. Favre's alleged involvement in Mississippi's largest public corruption case has helped bring broader attention to it and cost him endorsement deals. And I think that's probably another reason he's pissed. Oh, well. Favre received $1.1 million intended for welfare recipients in exchange for speeches and appearances the state auditor said he never made, which I just stated. Text messages included in court filings last year show Favre was heavily involved in discussions that resulted in welfare money going towards construction of the volleyball facility. Favre later repaid the $1.1 million, but $228,000 in interest remains in dispute. And that's the other part that gets me. You paid the $1.1 million back, but the interest on it that accrued over time, you didn't want to pay. And it was way less than what you initially paid, which was in the millions. My thing is this, and I ask this every time this is brought up. Why are you holding on to that interest? It has to be something tied to that interest he doesn't want to pay, unless that paying of the interest will further incriminate him. Or where did he put that interest money at? Hopefully that comes out. You know, if they finally up and decide to criminally charge this man with something, hopefully that will come out in court of why he's not trying to pay that $228,000 in interest, because that's nothing compared to what he received and paid back so far. Money for appearances in the volleyball facility was channeled through a nonprofit called the Mississippi Community Education Center. So that's the latest update right there as far as it pertains to Brett Favre. It's still not the news that we want, unfortunately, that he's been criminally charged with anything. It's just that they are still denying him to be removed from the case altogether. So as far as we know, like right now, he's still tied to the case. And I said the more and more people that get attached to it, the more and more they're going to keep him there, because it would be foolish for them to just drop him and everyone else is still tied. Because if they drop him, they're probably going to drop everybody else. They know they have to keep him there for as long as they possibly can, but they keep dragging this thing of not charging him. They need to just go ahead and hurry up. It's not like they need to go up ahead and hurry up and charge him. It's not like they don't have enough evidence that's clear in public knowledge at that for them to not charge him criminally with anything. It's all pretty much there. So I don't know what the holdup is. Maybe, you know, when they finally do hopefully criminally charge him with something, they can reveal why it took them so long to do it.